Hello, Ryan Garland. I am your host of The Paradigm Shift. I cannot wait to expose the true inner depths of institutional wealth building and how to dig deep into real estate investing. All right, everybody, Ryan Garland here. Welcome to The Paradigm Shift. I have a really good friend of mine, which we've got a chance to get to know each other today. We got Greg Tracy, and I think what's really exciting is that we continue to grow our platform with all kinds of different walks of life. And I think what I loved about his background is that he's actually a stunt car driver. And I think we're going to have some fun today and just kind of hear a little bit about his background. And we'll just kind of collab on Lake Havasu and all the wonderful things. And today is also really exciting because we're actually doing our first podcast in our new headquarters building, which is called FOFs, right off Dover, right next to Industrial in Lake Havasu. And so this is our first one, and I'm glad you're here. And
I'm stoked to be here. This is super legit, by the way. I mean, I came up, I wasn't 100% sure what to expect. I walked in like, wow, this place is impressive. Yeah, really impressive.
I remember telling Matt, I said, hey, when he make sure he doesn't run over the concrete when he comes in. We just poured it.
Yeah.
But thank you. That was really cool. Yeah, we spent a lot of time on this. I actually bought the land from another builder, a good friend of mine. He was just looking for some liquidity and goes, hey, I'm gonna build something else. I need some liquidity. We looked at the plans, we made some adjustments to it, and we said, yep, we're gonna make this our headquarters building. Yeah. So yeah, we love it. So thanks for being here.
Perfect, right in the middle. I love it.
So 20,000 square feet. We have probably half of our equipment in here now. And we'll probably have this all finished up. I think we're shooting for next weekend, and we're going to have a March 1st grand opening.
That's great.
Yeah, we're not sure if we're going to have a party yet, but I think what we're going to do is at least have our friends and family here, and then we'll do a big party maybe in a month or two. We'll just kind of fill this place up and then go have some fun.
I'm good with big parties. I'll be here.
So, okay. So you, we ran across each other on social media in essence, right? Our marketing, you kind of came in as a possible investor, and you live across the lake. You're on the California side. Yeah.
So I've been coming up here since I was a little kid. I mean, I think I actually started coming here in 1969 or 1970, obviously as a very little kid. Mm-hmm. Spent a lot of time on the city side, but predominantly, we're on the California side. I live in Belmont Shore, California, majority of the time, but this is our happy place for sure. I mean, the memories, thousands, tens of thousands, maybe 100,000 miles of riding and off-road cars up here. My parents now have a place on this side, so we do spend a lot of time over here. Yeah. They're also going back and forth between Belmont Shore and here as well.
No, we were talking about the pandemic and how many people were coming out here, and you said you came out here. You're planning on coming out for what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, so my wife took our youngest to school, and the principal happened to run into their friends, and he told her, hey, they're talking about closing down schools. So she came back and told me that. I'm like, wait a second, this is for real. They're talking about closing down schools, yet we're not hearing about this yet. We're out of here. This is our safe spot. I always feel better and happier in Havasu anyway. Mm-hmm. So we packed the kids up. We came up here and we drove in and kind of figured it was going to be like 2 weeks. I think the first week we were here, the tribal security came around and said, hey, you guys are here, but if you leave, you can't come back, but you can stay. So that was, and I think at the time, maybe there were 7 families out of 750 on the California side. So it was basically like a ghost town.
Oh, yeah.
And we sort of, got into what we had to do to just stay there. As soon as everything shut down in California, obviously the school shut down, Hollywood completely shut down. Yep. I mean, I think Hollywood shut down more than any other business on the planet at that point. For sure. Extra cautious, how they were. So at that point, the guard gate was closed, the marina was closed, and we were stuck there. We were there for 190 days.
But you were able to come back over here.
Yeah, I mean, I keep that kind of quiet.
I
figured out a way to get across, and we were out on the boat. I mean, it was a crazy time too, because you watch the lake change. I mean, everything, obviously when you have hundreds of thousands of people boating, and it's different than when you have, not so many people. Yeah, like started seeing, coyotes and animals I'd never seen before. I think I saw like 7 or 8 rattlesnakes in a short period of time that, you never see that. Normally there's just too much density and too much going on that you don't see them, but it was a great time.
It was getting, the snakes were getting rattled out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. What's funny is when I had, right during the pandemic, we had the first phase of Paradigm Storage going. And right before the pandemic, I never noticed all the donkeys.
Yeah.
But then once everyone kind of started swelling up out here, because this was like the spot to go to from Southern California, just because all the recreational and families and so forth, and everything was shut down. So the amount of donkey poop that was on my driveways at Paradigm Storage, every day I got there and I'm like, there's more donkeys. Yeah, I'm like, let's get out the shovel. So, but it's true. And then I think they started shipping some of those donkeys out of here because there was a lot of them. They came through here.
Yeah, I think the same on our side. There's quite a bit. I think that happens. Like it gets to a certain number and they need to move them somewhere else. But I like the donkeys. The donkeys are great. They're actually nice. Super friendly. I have a golden retriever that has a couple that he's friends with, and they'll say hello to each other.
That's cool.
However they communicate, I don't know. But
I remember it took me right when the pandemic hit. It was an off weekend. It wasn't even a busy weekend. It took me 3.5 hours to get my boat on the water. That's how much Lake Havasu swelled up.
Yeah.
It was pretty impressive. That opened my eyes to the demand here. And then how many people wanted to stay out here, meaning, buy a second home and now start coming out here more. And I think a lot of people as well, at least some of the friends I'm talking to, they spend so much time with their kids and their family. They're like, this is what we want to continue to do. So they bought side-by-sides, or they bought, a fifth wheel, and they started doing that type of stuff. And now it's just kind of now in their blood.
Well, I think, just real quickly, I was going to say, I think, one of the things that I love about what you guys are doing, and even from when I saw some of the social media stuff and I was impressed, and you really hit on what Havasu is all about, right? And, we always talk about generational wealth, right? That's one thing. But generational happiness, that's the one thing that people miss for the most part. I think about like my time in LA County and Long Beach, which I love where I live. But I think we were talking earlier. I definitely don't get flipped off here as much as I do there, right? People are they're not happy. They're on edge all the time. The people that are in Havasu are happy people. They're adventurers. They spend generational happiness, right? That's what they're transferring to their kids. That's what I want to transfer to my kids. I'm going to bring tears to my eyes if I think about it too much. But my dad, who's 83, I'm sure he's got 10,000 miles this last year of side by side on this side and that side. And that's what he instilled in us. It was about family, right? So when the pandemic hit, what am I going to do? I'm going to take care of my family and make sure they're safe. Well, not only make sure they're safe, but then we had hundreds and hundreds of hours on motorcycle riding and shooting guns and driving off-road cars and on the boat and wakeboarding. And that's the most important thing in life. Yeah. Wealth, great, whatever. Generational wealth, that's nice to create. And obviously it's nice to have some money to spend on these toys, but that's where life is really the most present. And I think, I looked looking at the barn caves and storage, et cetera. What are those places? Those are like the point of your happiness. That's where all your toys are. That's where all your friends are. And, you pull into that place, it feels good. You feel happy. Yeah. You feel like you've, not only you're creating something for your family, but you're able to enjoy, your toys. For me, like California, I got to pay $15 million to be able to store my stuff, right? I don't have $15 million. So all my stuff lives out here, right? Yep. And it's also not, everything's used here. People use their toys. They're not, they're on the water with their boats. They don't just sit in driveways. Belmont Shore, we have Naples there. And, my wife and I laugh about it a lot. We'll take the Duffy out and go around the canals, and very rarely do you see somebody outside sitting on their porch. Very rarely. Yeah. And we always ask, well, why is that? Yeah, why is that? Well, because they're too busy making money to pay their bills. They don't even get to use it. Here, it's a better lifestyle. That's what I love about Havasu City. You guys have definitely hit it, and that makes me excited. It's fun to watch as you guys grow up in this place we're in right now. This is insane. It's going to be so cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I that means a lot, because I think a lot of people that follow us or track us or listen to our podcast, they don't know the culture of Havasu. And that's why I think someone like you that comes out here is a great fit for us, because you already believe in it. You already see what we're doing. So it's kind of makes sense scenario. The common conversation, and we always joke about it, is people have more toys in their garages than the house of the value of the house, right? So you may have $100 million worth of toys in your garage, but the house is only worth $1 million kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
and it's so true. But there's a lot of truth to what you were saying too, is that people just want to have a better life. And when the pandemic hit, the journey, but when the pandemic hit, we really focused, because our kids weren't able to spend time with their friends. If you were in high school, a lot of the kids didn't get a chance to go to their proms or even graduate and walk. And if you were a parent during those times with kids, you wanted to try to get them away from that, knowing, hey, this is a crazy time of life, but you don't want them to be too negatively impacted. So you start doing more things as a family.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing that was going on in Havasu. So the parents seemed to be a little more hands-on than normal. No, obviously they had the time, but you saw just kind of that core group of families coming together. And I thought that was really neat. So that's who I am, my 3 kids. And I just, it was so important to me. And then the relationships I was building, listening to their wealth and how they're trying to maneuver. And I'm like, if we, instead of building storage units where you just rent them out, how about you can buy one at a lower price? It's fee simple. You get the write-off, from a real estate side, because I'm a real estate nerd.
Right.
But you can start building and retaining generational wealth. But then you can also store your toys. I'm like, how about you can do both, right? How is there a way to kind of, and that's really kind of in a nutshell, really, is why we went down that road. And then listening to what people are looking for and watching the migration here and healthcare and so forth, we're like, why don't we build, these storage units with real houses, which is already here, right? 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It's still very common here. But I'm like, why don't we go vertical, build it more dense, and try to do something a little more affordable? Because we didn't know which way the world was going, right? This is prior to elections.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. Because even today, if you look at the stock market, just the volatility is insane. So we knew no matter what, we want to build something that was going to be sustainable, affordable, and as people migrate, if the cost of living is still high, they can start maneuvering their lives to at least enjoy the journey, not just hand over the wealth that they've created. Because it's true out here, going back in California, not everyone's outside on their backyards. Right. Here, this time of year, especially with everything that just happened in back east with the storms, everyone's outside. I mean, it's 71 degrees right now,
and everybody's happy.
And everyone's happy.
To me, that's the biggest thing. Like
it's my wife,
yeah, exactly. We come here and we walk in the door and it's an instant, 50-point reduction in tension
and stress.
And you're just stoked. You're just stoked to be here and around other people that are stoked to be here. And that creates its own, I go side note here, but spent a lot of time on gratitude over the last year. And it's everything, right? It's like to be so thankful to have, number one, a place like this, and then to have people around you that have similar philosophy. It just feeds on itself, right? So pretty soon you can't help but be happy. I mean, if you run into somebody who's unhappy here, there's probably, probably give them a hug or something because something's going on in their life that you don't know about. Yeah, exactly.
I'm glad that you brought that up because, I don't get a chance to talk that much about that personal side on the podcast. And I really like that you touched on that. I think when you go through enough in life, you start chasing peace.
Yeah.
And I think that is probably the best way to put it. When you come out here, you have the cost of living here is a lot cheaper. You can go to dinner almost every night if you needed to, it's the peace it's so different. You don't have the traffic,
right?
It's just a completely different vibe. But my father retired as an LA County sheriff and he went through a lot. I mean, he was in the trenches in LA and, he's been shot. He broke his back. I mean, all the horror stories, he's one of them, right? Of course he was his own worst enemy, kind of put himself in the mix, but,
right.
But when you hear his stories and you hear about when he retired, he said, there's places in the world that are a whole lot better than LA, just certain things. And there's other really great places about LA, but at least what he worked the one ways in Norwalk, that type of stuff, And now I see his peace and happiness out here. It's so different because growing up with him while he was still, employed, he was thinking everybody was the worst enemy in the world. So growing up in a law enforcement family was really hard. But it took about 15 years once he retired and came out here with enough, exposure to good people and happiness. He's not the same person as he was 20 years ago. He's sleeping better. He's not fearful. Have to have a gun under his bed. Like he doesn't have to feel that way anymore.
Yeah.
When he's out here, he doesn't even have the gun on him. That is not my father. My father was the guy who always had a gun somewhere stacked in somewhere. And he's not that way now. And I think
awesome.
That's a big deal when you see a guy who was, a cop for 35 years and then he goes to a place where he can get away and then he doesn't have to feel that fear anymore.
Right.
That's what caught my attention more than anything.
Yeah.
And again, the family environment, the amount of young families that have moved out of California or Vegas or all these other places that have come here is impressive. And I think that's what I want to do more is continue to try to build stuff that's for the youth here. Yeah. Every city has deficiencies, and that's one of them here. And I think what we can do as a firm, because we have a niche, is to continue to build maybe stuff where people can go and enhance their lives and build a community and meet new people and hence the family office society, that type of stuff. And just continue to try to give a good environment for people. It's safe.
bring Trader Joe's too. I think that's
If
a
I
good
could,
idea.
I have been trying to get Trader Joe's and Sprouts.
Yeah.
If we can get a Sprouts and a Trader Joe's, I think
You're
we're
solid,
winning.
rock
We're
solid.
killing
It's
it.
done. Yeah.
We're killing it. Okay, so let's have some fun. Let's talk a little bit about your career.
Okay.
Which got you on the podcast. So, now you shared some parts of your story with me. I want the audience to kind of hear from you. So let's talk about, kind of give me the spill, kind of what we talked about from the very beginning, how you got into it, kind of, dirt bikes, your accident, kind of getting into, you wanted to go Formula One. Let's talk about it. So
So I started off racing motocross. That was my dad had raced motorcycles, and my brother and I got into racing motorcycles, and we were fast, quick.
Did you ever go? I'm sorry to interrupt. Did you ever go to Star West or do any of that stuff out?
Oh yeah,
you did all that, right?
Star West was probably kind of the later part
Sure.
for me. Yeah, it was even like Saddleback and Indian Dunes, which are tracks that don't exist anymore. Glen Helen, so many tracks that don't exist anymore. Yep. But started off with motocross and really turned professional at a very young age. I think I was 15 when I turned pro. I did crash a lot though, and I mean even in my car stuff, all my crashes have been over 100 miles.
Well, you're
an hour.
walking fine.
Yeah, really. Wait, because it's warm here. That's probably why I like it here too.
Touche.
So motocross was a big part of my life. That was through high school. I broke my back and my neck in Anaheim Stadium, Supercross 1986. I think Rick Johnson, who's a rock star buddy of mine, won that year, the 250 class. But we decided we were going to go race off-road cars. My back wasn't healing, and so we started racing go-karts. Long story short, that kind of moved into Formula cars. And I had a successful Formula car career. I really wanted to race Formula One. At that time, Americans weren't really going over there. I had planned on going to race in Switzerland at one point. I won the night before the 500 in Indy in 1992.
Oh, wow.
Thinking I was going to Europe in 93. Sponsorship stuff fell apart. Took a one-off ride with a team that hadn't been really super successful with their car yet. 93, on my way to win the race, had an engine blow, hit head on by another Formula car, broke my cheeks, my nose, bruised my brain, broke my wrist, got hammered.
Oof.
While I was healing, my best friend at the time was Mouse McCoy, who you probably know from Dust to Glory. Mm-hmm. We were living together, and he was...
How cool.
Yeah, it was a great time. But he was working his way up in the film business at that time, at the very bottom level, but was starting to get into the stunt stuff himself. His dad was a director, producer. He's like, you got to come try this out. So I was still really trying to race full time and expect, at that point now I'm trying to transition like, okay, the Indy 500, that's my goal. Got into the stunt business with the cars. There was a transition kind of period of where stunt guys were, really good at everything, great athletes, but not any one particular thing. And there was that transition where the car movies were getting more prevalent, and being able to slide a car next to a wall was, a very specialized deal. And that was kind of how I got in.
Gone in 60 seconds was a thing.
Yeah. So, fast forward, all of a sudden it's, 10 years later, and I really was starting to that's where I was making my living, was with the stunt business. And that was the transition. I still have raced professionally for years. I raced Pikes Peak, which probably for me was like, that was really my ultimate from my racing perspective. I raced it 20 times. I won it 7. I was the only guy that ever broke the 10-minute mark in a car and on a motorcycle. Raced for Ducati, which was a great experience, great brand.
I didn't know that.
Ducati, so that was fun. Yeah, I was with Ducati for several years. I had their first win on the Hypermotard and first win on their Multistrada.
Oh my gosh!
So that was pretty great and really fun. A lot of risk, but I had the right skill set for it because I had the car background, the motorcycle background, and the stunt business. You're showing up, you got to be on point, on the moment. Mm-hmm. You got 200 people watching you. You're going to slide into an intersection, got to hit your mark or hit a car, or whatever you're doing. So, you build that skill set. It becomes part of your mindset, and it becomes somewhat muscle memory.
Yep.
So here I am all these years later, still doing it. So it's been great. Cool. And I've got to do some great, some fun movies. You said, I wanted to go to Formula One. I worked on the Formula One movie. We did the Daytona stuff there. And
is that the one with Sylvester Stallone?
That was the first one. That was Driven. That was
Driven,
a Sylvester Stallone IndyCar movie.
That's right.
And it's sort of panned by the motorsports community, but it was fun to work on. So
that's so cool. What other movies have you been on? Shows, TVs?
Yeah, so I did the F1 movie as far as what's out right now. The Family Plan 1 and Family Plan 2, both those just came out, or Family Plan 2 just came out. I've worked on probably 4 Fast and Furious, Spider-Man, Italian Job. I was Matt Damon's double for Ford vs. Ferrari.
Oh, no way. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was Edgar.
I just watched that the other day on Netflix too.
That was a fun one to work on.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So.
My gosh. So you get a lot of exposure. And you're still doing it.
Still doing it.
Any plan to retire anytime soon? Or?
I don't know. It's like I still enjoy it. So, And it's funny. The funny thing about the stunt business, you show up. I had a funny thing happen last week where I was doing a commercial, riding a motorcycle through a house, knocking over tables and things. But I get there and I brought my son Wyatt, who's 17. He's starting to get into the stunt business. He's
my son's age.
Yeah, he's a great motorcycle rider. And so I'm like, hey, tag along with me. It's nice to be on set and see what's going on and check it out. And so we get to set, and the producer sees me, who's a friend of mine, and walks me over to introduce me to the directors. So it's director team. They're probably in their early 20s. And he's like, this is our motorcycle stunt rider. And they both stick their hand out to shake my son's hand. And I don't know, not this guy, the old guy standing next to him, the gray-haired guy. And they're like, whoa, I could see that moment of like, whoa, something doesn't seem right here. But, you're just developing skills for years and years and years. And I understand camera and, still have the skill set to ride bikes or crash cars or slide cars. So
might as well keep going.
Just keep going.
I love it. Yeah. You probably get to meet some really cool people too.
Yeah, I meet some great people.
Actors and so forth.
Actors. And, I think one of the things that really attracted me to Paradigm was, I spend most of my life around risk takers and creative, right? Mm-hmm. And that's a beautiful mix. So a risk, people think about risk takers like you're crazy or this. No, if you're a crazy risk taker, your career is really short. Mm-hmm. If you're a crazy risk taker in business, your career is really short. So it's somebody that knows how to really balance risk and at the same time have a creative part of it. Like that's the most perfect situation, right? And so, even when I saw your guys' stuff, I was like, okay, this makes sense. Obviously, the creativity is there big time, and risk. You when you first came here, yeah, that was a risk. But then you realize what you guys were doing, and you're able to keep recreating the process and maybe do something that's different, like what we're sitting in right here. That's going to be incredible, and that's going to be a great addition to the community. Barn caves, the storage, like on and on and on, right? So that's most of my days with, and I enjoy that the most. I like the creatives. People are constantly coming up with new ideas, and you show up on something like the commercial I was just talking about, like, oh, this is a really great concept, and I get to be a part of it. That's super cool.
Yeah. So, I love it and I appreciate it, because the first thing you said when you came in here, you're like, nobody else is doing this in Havasu, right? And I'm like, not that I know of. This is definitely one of a kind. And really that's what because if you think about what makes you known, if you're trying to build awareness, is your brand.
Yeah.
What do people know you as, right? And then if they know you as a developer, it builds really neat stuff that people really appreciate and like, then you got a good brand. Then if you're making people money, you really got a good brand, know, and bringing something that's a little more forward thinking to the community that other people just haven't thought of yet. And what that did is for us, it created a niche, but it also it eliminated us having competition. Yeah. We don't have any competition because we're not doing what everyone else is doing.
Right.
And I think that's helped us a lot. And I think that, like you nailed it, the creativity, people are going, the world's changing so much faster than it did 10 years ago in a year. Right. If you look at what happened with the pandemic, even with our existing administration, they are cooking every single day, weekend, they're just cranking. And I tell everybody, if you're in the capital markets, you have to watch how fast the world is shifting politically, everything else, and you have to move just as fast. So creativity has to move. You have to look at I love the risk component, calculated risk. What are people doing? Where are people migrating? Data now is at our fingertips more than ever before. Can we look at what people are looking for, wanting, migrating to, healthcare, spending habits, and lifestyle, and trying to have some sort of a decent journey, but leave something for your grandkids. That's all we really try to create.
Right.
So it's kind of more ears to the ground than anything else. One of the things that I always preached, and I have worked for other big firms, and I was the only guy on the streets building the relationships, bringing all the, intel into the corporate office. And I used to tell them, like, guys, what you guys think is happening compared to what's on the streets are two different things. One of the things that people tell me and they love about me is I'm on every one of my sites every day. I'm getting a chance to meet everybody who works on the site. I'm listening to the problems, the hurdles. And when I see it live in real time, I can start planning for it down the road on the next project, right? How to pivot, how to migrate around it, whatever. That gives us that edge. Then you have, if you take just that simple concept and you look at it from an investment side, that's all we're trying to do, is build something that people want, focused on, like, for example, steel building methods. And in my opinion, that's going to be the fastest growing trend pretty soon, because look at everything that happened with the fires in LA.
Right.
Insurance costs have gone through the roof. It's been continuing to go up prior to the fire. So we saw that trend happening. Now it just kind of spiked it. Now it's a topic of conversation. But even when you're under construction, that's when you have the most risk of fire is up. Is you have no water on site yet. You have everything's going vertical.
Right, yeah.
If we went to steel, the likelihood of fire goes down significantly. So you're able to start mitigating risk and dropping your cost by using different methods, and nobody else is doing that out here. So it's not that this is new. This happened in other places across the country. I'm just bringing it here. So It's not that I'm inventing the wheel. I'm just creating a brand in this area and just building awareness of what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I'm going to get back real quick to you talking about being on site all the time. You can feel that energy. I felt that when the projects I've already looked at, and I'm just thinking to my personal experience from a directing standpoint. The directors are the ones that are running the show, right? You show up on a movie set, commercials, TV show, whatever. It's a director's vision, and the AD's making it happen. You've got all these different contractors in a way, right? You've got the electric department, you got camera, you got all the different guys. But I can walk on the set, maybe somebody I haven't worked with or somebody I have worked with. You can feel it when you walk on, like, it's going to be one of those days, right? Mm-hmm. Or you can feel the ones where the guys are like super switched on and they're
excited,
stoked, and they know everybody on the team, and they're, giving the camera department props, they're giving, the gaffers props, whatever. It definitely funnels down and it creates a better environment, and you feel that environment, and then people work harder and you end up with a better product.
Yep.
So
it's so true.
It's literally the same thing.
It's culture, right?
Yeah.
That's another topic of conversation for businesses, if you're going to run a well-oiled machine or not. And what I've learned is, for me, if I focus on culture, I can run a better business with a leaner overhead. You have people that are excited to be there, they typically can carry more weight. Right. Yeah, if you have people that have the ability to take on more responsibilities, it gives them purpose to wake up. And then they have the ability to elevate within the company. And then I say, hey, instead of me hiring this person, do you want to take on that hat? I'll give you a little bit more pay. So now everybody's making more money. I have less bodies to deal with, less, emotions to deal with, right? And then everyone's getting paid well, and then we're humming because everyone's communicating well, right? Not everybody fits the mold, but when you get them, when you're in sync, it's like the best team to play for in the world,
for sure.
And there's nothing better when you're winning and you're playing for a good team.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's what I try to preach to everybody within the firm is, the culture. Given the ability for people to elevate. I built, a structure where people get equity in the company. So as people come in as they're new, they get to see that other people have equity. They get to work up to that. So you don't have this ability to just, tap there's a ceiling you get to tap. You have the ability to tie into all the profit that Paradigm is able to do, right? To accomplish. And that's what helps us be successful for our clients, because with that culture, it always starts with the culture. If I'm going to try to deliver, a project where our investors are going to make money, I need a team to get there. If my team believes in it and they work hard, knowing like, hey, if we are successful, I get a piece of it too. They get pregnant with me and they're like, I'm all in.
Right. Yeah,
and that's all we're trying to do. So it's like, what does it actually take? And I think people don't see that. It's like, what is it actually going to take? And if you have a firm that understands, if you can build everybody up that you bring in from the bottom, they can, if they really want to be there, they'll do well.
Yeah.
The last example was Brianna. She's my controller. I say it respectfully. She was working for an actually big firm. She just hated traveling. So she applied to work for us, and she was traveling down to San Diego from Temecula every day. And she was just being beat up by traffic. And she didn't want to deal with the traffic anymore. Yeah. Rightfully so. 2 hours one way, 2 hours back. It's a long way. So she was like, you know what? I will take a pay cut, not have to live this like this. So when we brought her on, we didn't know really. I mean, we saw her resume and we're like, you know what? She's consistent. She's got some good pedigree. Let's see. But you never really know who they are, right? You look at paper and who they really are, two different things. So we bring her on, and she was, strong. But I was the one who paid attention to it. She was like the first one there and the last one to leave.
Yeah.
And she just always worked. And then I had the lady that was underneath her. I never even really interviewed her. I didn't even see her. I had a big firm at the time. And then the lady that was kind of in her, so she took over her position. She had a baby, so she was on leave for a little while. So she came to me, and her name was Joanna, and she goes, who should I bring under me to kind of take over some of my weight? And I said, well, there's probably 4 or 5 people you can spread it out to. And then Brianna just kind of kept showing up and kept doing it. And I said, I think Bree can do it all. And she goes, all right, I'll let her try. So we gave it to Bree, and Bree just crushed it. And I'm like, I can't, now I have 2 of them. I'm excited. So now Bree's the vice president of the company. She's our controller, but she literally started at the bottom, you know? And so that's a great feeling for people as we bring them on. That doesn't matter where you stand. If you work hard, you have some knowledge and you believe in it and you're going to show up, let's go, you know, but you also this is a war too. You know, there's a lot of stress. This is great. But it was a lot of stress to get here. I think I had like 50 gray hair more than yesterday than I did today kind of thing, you know? So
you don't have to stop writing checks for a while. You know, it's part of the deal.
That's how it goes.
Got to make them worthwhile.
But, you know, when you deliver this stuff and you do it over and over again, it just becomes a little more, you build the scales, you build the track record, you build kind of the ability internally to just get it done. So you just don't, it's not emotional anymore. It's just getting it done and hitting our marks and moving on. And so, you know, we feel very blessed that we've been able to accomplish what especially in the small town, because that's got its own hurdles in itself, you know? So to be able to deliver this out here and all the other things that go along with it, as far as just economically and, you know, materials and just all the stuff that, you know, you have to kind of deal with, we did okay. Yeah. And I really appreciate you seeing it. And
no, for sure. Huge. Yeah, it's great. Great to see.
So we should talk about Joe a little bit, because Joe over there, look at him.
What's up, Joe?
Hey, what's up, Joe? How you doing, buddy?
Iron.
He was a stunt man. So he was on Fear Factor. He was on Fear Factor.
Okay.
He had to flip a car. He made he actually won. He got $50,000.
Oh, that's cool.
Because he slid the car as far as it could possibly go. Right?
That's
impressive. So he won.
Yeah, nice. Congrats.
His back's still messed up. I took him golfing the other day. Well, how are you, 33? I tell everybody he's 33. He's got a back brace on, and he didn't even make it through 18 holes. I'm like, dude, is that from your stunts that you drive? Did you see this stunt driver right here? Well, I don't know. He's not doing that.
I played Havasu last week. I should say I drove the golf cart. My wife played, so I get it. I'm pretty beat up.
It's usually the other way around. Usually you're playing the wife's driver.
Great. I just hand her a drink and drive the cart.
Oh, cool. Right on. Yeah, it's that's the one thing I want to see out here is better golf courses.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's a win. The refuge just cleaned up too.
That's great. Yeah.
The Iron Wolf and then
it's very cool.
It's like a little Top Golf they created over there.
Yeah.
It's really pretty neat.
We actually looked at houses there for a little bit ourselves, trying to figure out what our next spot is. But
I have a client that came to us to want to build. She wants us to build a spec on one of her lots in there.
Yeah.
And she's just kind of getting tired. She doesn't want to deal with it, but she's got a great background in development. And she comes to me and goes, "Hey, you want to build over here?" And I was like, "I'll build it for you."
Yeah.
But you know, let's see what we can do. So we're kind of going through the design right now. Yeah. That's a really good area. You know,
I love it. A
lot of family in there. When I say family, like literal family, I have my 2 uncles that live in there now. Ray retired as well, law enforcement from LA. He came out here to spend some time with the old man. So they're in there, and they're always like, "Hey, well, Ryan needs to build in there. Let's go see if we can get in there."
Yeah, it's good.
It's really pretty cool.
Got an ammo shop up the street. You're pretty well covered.
Everything. Yeah. And you know, it's if you've driven on London Bridge Road lately, there's a guy. Did you see that big man cave that guy built across from Golf View? It's another.
Oh yeah. I have
isn't that
seen
pretty neat?
Yeah.
I forgot what he calls it. It's PH something. I forgot what he calls it. You guys remember what it was called? I forgot what he called it. Playhouse. And he called it play something like that. But it was pretty neat. He's got these hectagon lights in there, and you know, a lot of guys coming out here building man caves. Yeah. This is the man cave mecca.
It's got to be the capital of the world for that, actually. You know, so much going on. I mean, it's so much fun we'll come across on the boat. You know, I think there's like the Volkswagen bus show that was just a couple weeks ago. And there's always something happening, which is really cool. If you're into cars or motorcycles or anything, you know, boats.
They had the Raptor Fest here, a month ago?
Yeah, kind of a place to be, right? It's pretty great.
To have all the Raptors in the country come here and do off-roading, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Off the Desert Storm, that was a big deal. Last year, was it last year with the boat flip?
We left the day, I think the day that happened. We had been on the water that week, and then was going somewhere for a job or something, and we left and started getting the videos about 2 hours after we were on the road. I was like, oh. I mean, not that I hate to see people crash, but if they are going to crash anyways, I would like to have been there.
Well, if anybody knows, it's you. Yeah. But it's pretty crazy.
That was insane.
He flipped at 209, so not only did he win this fastest speed, but you know, at 209 he came up out of the water, and it's kind of like, did you see it kind of grabbed additional air and just kind of flipped a little bit more?
It was a little bit like a wing, you know. I mean, at a certain point, I think it saved him as it was coming down. He had all that airflow pressing against it and calmed it down a little bit. I think
one guy broke his rib, another guy broke his, I could be wrong, but I think another guy broke his ankle, but that was it. So, I mean, if that's all you got after that, I think you're pretty safe.
A lot of dynamics going on with that stuff. I was actually talking with one of my stunt driver friends, Reese Millen, who's a off-road racer as well. And we were talking about trophy trucks and talking about horsepower, and someone was asking, like, oh, what is it, like 1,000 horse to, 1,500 horsepower? I was like, no, we're like at like 950. He says, honestly, like you get above 1,000 and you're just pushing the airflow. They're big trucks. So you're pushing against the air so hard that you just end up starting to get wheel spin, which is crazy. Think about it, 150 miles an hour. Now you're getting wheel spin because, you're literally pushing against a wall of air in these big trucks. It's pretty cool.
That dynamic, just the engineering behind that stuff is just unbelievable. There was you probably know them. I think it was Underground Racing. I think one of the guys, he had a just recently, a couple of weeks ago, it was a Lamborghini. It was a Huracan that was the fastest in the world. I think it did 260. And there's another guy who just did 265, same setup, but it was an Audi R8. Yeah. And there's all kinds of stuff going on. But 265 miles an hour. It's pretty fast. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Things happen real quick.
Yep. So Greg, is there anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, I think, again, it's, I'm so happy to see what's going on here. Havasu City is an amazing place, great place to bring family. Yeah. It's about family for me. And I think maybe, you have the population here has kind of, they've made it, I think the average age is 55 or 57. So they're obviously you have above and below that, right? So
it was higher before. It's coming down a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I can see that's happening. But I think what's happened is you're bringing people out here that are what you were talking about earlier, like kind of that peaceful spot, right? It's the point where you're like, okay, I've had my successes. I've done the great things I wanted to do or whatever. And now I want to just spend time with my family and enjoy my toys. And I'm happiest when I'm here as well. Like we talked about that earlier. So,
I'd say probably the most popular the most popular conversation that I have once I really start building my relationship with my clients is just, how volatile the market in the world really seems to be right now.
Yeah.
And, you get to a certain point where you're like, look, I still have some fight in me, but I don't know how much I want to continue to try to fight, you know? And so people are just trying to migrate to areas that they either grew up and went to, or they see other people that are, kind of like-minded and, the facts are you got more healthcare kind of moving this direction, again, cost of living. And you just kind of start downsizing in a way where you just don't have to deal with the stress. You can kind of disconnect from watching the news so often. You don't have to watch it every day to survive almost, it's just different.
Ultra critical.
And I think for us, we keep watching it every day. So my rule of thumb for my teams, they have to watch basically the business news every single day. I want them to know exactly what's happening with stocks and what have you, because people are going to, they're maneuvering money around, and we want to be on the forefront. We need to understand what's happening, know? And of course, when you're in the financial market, every asset class has to be considered, and people are diversifying. But one of the things that I'm realizing is when I meet with people and they come out and do the site visits, I'll have other, former builders and developers, and they're like, you're right in the heart of your career. You have the young pack. I believe in you. I like what you're doing, and you're on the right direction. You have the team. I can invest with you because I know the risks. I've been there. And I also know that, what you guys are doing, because I believe in the community. I think you're on the right track. So I get a lot of people that are part of my, I would say a part of the company have invested at some point, or even, other companies I work with just on third party side that are just really being a big, I would say I have a big advisory board. Yeah. There's nothing better than that. So that's hence the whole, Family Office Society network. The amount of people that I can call for help or what have you, it's impressive. And these are people that have money when they're gonna answer the phone. Ryan's calling. What can I do for you? Yeah. So it's really kind of neat because I can sleep at night knowing I have resources. Yeah. And sometimes that's not necessarily a conversation that I bring up, but I do have a lot of resources to kind of help if things are kind of weird, or I'm trying to look for material or whatever the case may be. So we pulled those cards. And I think that's what you see with the people that are investing and want to be a part of this community. It's just a bunch of people that all see life the same way, and I feel very blessed because, Tony Robbins said it best, the most, where the real wealth is within your relationships, right? Literally friendships, personal relationships. You can't take all this with you. How deep are your real relationships, and it's really pretty neat. So
yeah, that's 100%. I believe in that. That's just so true.
It's so true.
Friends, family.
I have friends that are family. Yeah. It's just the way it goes. Right. You have your family, and then you have your friends that are family, and you kind of get that vibe here from side by sides. I mean, the groups out here, people who do all the side by side stuff, or jet ski guys or boater guys, they literally have Eliminator has the regatta, all the
Right.
Eliminator guys get together. It's just such a cool vibe out here. I love it, man.
But that's one of the great things about Havasu, I think, is, you have all these subgroups, right? You got the guys that are just strictly side-by-sides. You got the hot rodder dudes. You got the moto guys. You got, like you say, the jet skiers, the sit-down guys. All you can go down, go by the bridge, and they've got the jet ski guys out there practicing for the nationals or whatever. A jet ski national champion can walk into a Eliminator club, and they're totally connected, right?
Oh, totally, yeah.
Because it's the same mentality. I love this, but you're stoked to be with those same, because it's the same personality type, right? And I think, you definitely have that. You are that person as well and it translates to what I'm seeing. So
I love it. Yeah, it was, I was talking to, so Jeremy, one of the owners of Eliminator, him and I were talking a while ago, and he was just saying that there's so many people that have bought boats throughout the years that he doesn't remember names. He remembers them by the name of their boat.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
That's
I'm like,
great.
what's their boat? What kind of boat do they have? Hey, do you know this person? What kind of boat do they have? Or what kind of car, what's the name of their boat? Oh yeah, that guy, it's actually pretty fun. So.
Well, I was here. I mean, I will say, I said been coming here since '69, something like that. I can remember when you had an 18-foot boat, you were a baller.
Yeah.
Right. And now it's like, come on. You have an 18-foot boat, you're sinking because the guy in the 40-foot boat just went by with 5 motors.
It's so true.
At 205, So
Dude,
you got to be on your toes, that's for sure.
It's crazy when you see a 16,000-pound center console that's 40 feet long still doing 100 miles an hour.
It's
You're
impressive.
like, oh my, with 10 people on there. You're like, oh my goodness. This thing it's just, but that's
cool.
opposite. That's why people want to be out here, because there's no speed limit too.
Right.
So it's kind of cool.
I like that. I'm a big fan of no speed limit.
Well, Greg, thank you for being on here, buddy. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's great getting to hang out.
I love bringing kind of different walks of life onto the platform. We have a really big following, and people. I get comments on this type of stuff. So I wanted everyone to see kind of the type of people that come across our desk. It's
great.
just really neat.
Glad to be a part of it.
It's so much fun. So thanks for being here, buddy. I really appreciate it.
Anytime.
Talk soon.
All right, sounds good.